All right, my first ever triathlon is in just 3 weeks' time. And to be honest, I am still terrified. The training's been going pretty well, not as well as I'd liked. I guess that's part of the difficulty of trying to juggle 3 sports at the same time. But yeah, let's see how it's gone. All right, so it is 20 to 1, and I'm actually editing in the office today, but not quite at the moment, as you can probably see. We're very lucky that we've got a Zwift setup run right below the floor I work on. So I have just popped down in my lunch break to do my nice easy run for 30 minutes. About 4K we're going to cover, and we're doing it all on Zwift running, which I'm excited to see because I haven't really used it too much. So let's see how it goes. And there we are, that is my 30-minute easy run done for today, and still got more than enough time to have my lunch break and get back to the editing. But Zwift running, I actually really enjoyed it on that one. It's nice to have something else to look at and people to interact with rather than just listening to music, just on a treadmill. I don't really know how much I'm actually going to be able to get to use this, unfortunately, because we are going to Slovakia for a week for the Collins Cup. And the treadmills at the gym that I'm part of, back where I live, they're not smart treadmills, and there's not really enough space to set anything up. But I'm definitely going to make sure I come back again at some point before Blenheim and get back on this, because it's definitely, well, I'm only level 1 on running, so I need to level that up some more. But yeah, trying to crack on with the editing and see how the rest of the training goes. All right. Time to get on some Zwift. I've just started my 55-minute long ride today. It was supposed to be a brick session, but because we're flying out pretty early tomorrow morning, I'm going to pick up around about 4 a.m. to get taken to the airport, and I still have to pack, sort all the kit, make sure it's all charged. So probably not going to be doing the brick session today. I will squeeze it in my next ride when we're out there. Which should be quite nice. A bit to change the scenery, a different route, finding new routes, possibly going on a mark as well. So it should be quite good, but Zwifting is going well. I think I'm up to level 5 now. Did remove the afro, as I thought it looked a bit too ridiculous. So I went for a hairstyle that's more similar to my own, but the integration with the workouts makes it so much easier. And apart from today, the weather's actually been pretty naff, so it's been raining a lot, which is good, so I'm glad I can still ride indoors. Running in the rain isn't too bad, just because it cools me off and I actually quite enjoy that, and swimming's inside. So the weather hasn't really affected it, which is excellent, but it's going well. Still haven't unlocked a new bike, so that is my goal before the triathlon, try and get a nice new bike on Zwift. Right, out on our first run of the trip with Mark and Joe. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep up for, or if I'm even going to try. We'll see. Alright, about 3 minutes in, and long gone. So it's just me. We had a nice, lovely view. I've nearly caught up with them. There they are. Weirdly enough, actually, this is the first time I've ever ran without music, and it does feel quite nice. Other than that I can hear my breathing and how much I'm struggling, but it's quite relaxing. It's nice and quiet around here. It's the odd cyclist and the other runners. And there's a lovely river. It's almost, well, it's nice and flat too. So there's no real downside. And it feels quite good actually, regardless of what my face is probably telling you. But we're almost halfway through the first run. Then it's back, shower, and have a lovely dinner. It's a nice day. There you go. Doing well. It's supposed to be a 20-minute easy run. We're going to try and push it to 30. And if that's feeling good, carry on for an extra 5 minutes and try and hit 5k again. Because I've not actually managed to do it since, which worries me a little bit. Just another beautiful little spot, this lovely bridge. Straight back into the ex-bionic sphere for hopefully the last K, and then I'm done. And there it is, the iconic course. I think it's iconic. I've certainly seen it a few times in the videos we've done. Through we go. Almost there now. 300 meters. I think that's how far the front door is. So we're almost done. See that? Not the quickest of the two, but as I already said, I'm still pretty happy with that. We're just done filming for the day, so it's now time for me to go off and do my training. So today we've got a brick session. Was actually supposed to be on the Monday, but today we're flying out. Didn't really want to tire myself out and didn't have much time. So just finished up at a hotel room getting ready. Gonna go on to the gym, just use one of the indoor watt bikes for my 55-minute easy ride, and then it's out for a nice 2k run, which Mark's actually going to join me for. This isn't my first brick session, but it's probably the first one I'm actually going to be recording, so it should be quite fun.
All right, Alex, your second brick session.
Yeah, second brick session. It doesn't feel as bad as I thought they would. Even the first one, like my legs did feel heavier, but I think it's because I'm only doing the 2k. But it was all right. And the first one I did, I literally got off the bike, changed my shorts, grabbed a quick sip of water and went for it. This one we did walk a little bit to get out to here, but it definitely feels better than the first one.
So you understand the whole jelly leg feeling now?
Yeah.
You experienced that?
Well, they're not like jelly, they're just heavy.
Yeah.
So I get now why it's more of a brick session, because it is like you're wearing bricks in your shoes or something like that.
Yeah, fair. Any improvement on the first time or not really yet? Just
Been a little bit better.
Kind of getting used to the feeling.
Getting used to the, it's more like it still feels heavy, just as heavy, but I'm expecting it now.
Yeah.
So I know just to slow down a little bit at the start, get the rhythm going, and then when it starts feeling like it's starting to
and I actually think that's a really good point, actually, because I think a lot of people, when they run off the bike, they're so surprised by how hard it feels that they almost give up. Like they think that, well, this is a write-off, my legs are hurting so much, I'm in a terrible shape. But actually, you kind of got to just push through that.
Yeah.
And you do tend to find your legs a little bit after that. So yeah, we'll be smashing out sub 3 minute Ks in a second.
Oh, perfect. Easy. It's like when I dropped you and Joe yesterday.
Oh yeah. Okie dokie, Alex. 3 weeks to go. Honestly, how are you feeling about it?
It's like I said at the start of the video, I am still generally terrified of this. It's starting to all set in now that in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be doing my first ever triathlon. Regardless of if I think I'm ready or not, I have to do it.
We're going to be there, making sure.
Yeah, if I'm going to get pushed in probably if I don't want to go in. But it's still the swim that I'm worried about, because I've done the 5k run, I've done a 20k bike, and I'm happy with that.
And you're pretty confident you can put them together?
Yeah, yeah. And I've done a few brick sessions, and I kind of know how bad my legs are going to feel, that I can run through it. And if worst case, I can just walk. Whereas the swim, I've done 400 meters, is the furthest I've ever swam without a rest. So it's still touch turn, so there's a little bit of a rest, but it is still constantly moving. And it's not like the bike or the run where you can just add that little bit more extra each time. It's very big jumps in the swim, and that's what I think worries me.
Yeah, well, firstly, have confidence in yourself. We've definitely got confidence in you, and it's amazing what you can find on the day. But with regards to swimming, firstly, you'll worry about just doing touch turns rather than tumble turns. Fine, in my opinion, and I wouldn't expect you to be doing tumble turns at this stage. A touch turn is absolutely fine, and many of viewers here will be watching this going, I do touch turns and I'm 20 years into swimming plus. So forget about that. The other thing is we're trying to slowly build up your endurance and distance in the swimming pool before going to the open water. I think we're now at that stage of probably going to the open water, getting a few sessions in just so you're comfortable in the open water. But with that comes the added buoyancy of a wetsuit, which does make things easier. Despite being in the open water and potentially a daunting environment, it does make it easier. You're more buoyant in the water, high in the water, and therefore less resistance going through the water.
Having that safety net of like, I'm not going to sink if I have a wetsuit on. I can, worst case, just float and breaststroke.
Yeah.
I know I've spoken to a few people that have done their first ever triathlon, and they ended up doing breaststroke for some of it, and I know that's
exactly
fine.
That is absolutely fine. You can roll onto your back, have a breather for a moment. Whilst it's not advised in the mass group, people may the support and staff there may worry, but it's absolutely fine. You can have a little breather, so don't worry about that. So yeah, we'll work on the open water in due course as well.
That would be great. And that actually leads me on to another question about race day. Is I know it's quite a short distance in comparison to all the other distances out there, but I'm still not sure about nutrition. Should I take any at all? If so, how much? Should I be taking something like jelly babies or something solid, or look at something like gels or these energy blocks?
It's a really good question actually, and something I think a lot of people here will value. So in essence, and this is very, very basic, I'm generalizing this a lot, your body can store 6 grams of carbs, up to maybe approximately an hour's worth of fuel for your body. So when you're doing a race, an hour or less, you don't really need to worry about fueling so much. You might want it there just in case. For yourself, you're kind of looking at, you're going to be tipping over that hour mark, I think. Maybe you're not, I don't know, maybe you're going to surprise us all. But you're probably looking at just over that hour mark. So going back to the start, what I would suggest is making sure that you have some good food in the couple of days leading up to the race. You don't need to worry about carb loading as such, but just be more mindful of having carbs and not
clean,
accidentally basically. Not having them, as you can do some days. You have other, like more protein or whatever. Think about having more carbs in place of some of those ordinary snacks, and then good breakfast on the day. Good 3 hours or so before the race to allow that to digest. And then I would take with you something that you can quickly absorb during the race. Okay. And this is something you might want to practice during training to see what works for you. So you could just go for something like a cereal bar or a banana, something solid that you're used to and probably you've had more often than not.
Yeah.
Another one is something like jelly cubes or energy blocks like this, which I really like. It's kind of somewhere in between a gel and real food, like something solid.
It's kind of like the intermediate kind.
Yeah, and then obviously a gel. Now the benefit of the latter two is they're quite simple sugars, so you can absorb them into your body quite quickly and get a quick kick from them. This less so, and you might find yourself struggling to breathe as you're trying to eat that.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks a bit kind of dry.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, giving these to you now, you can go practice that, obviously use some other stuff, I've got plenty more I can give you. So really important you try this in your training and get used to that. And also, just maybe thinking about having breakfast in the morning, a few hours before training, and getting used to that kind of process in the time frame. Well.
And so what part of the course would I think about having this kind of block or gel? Would it be midway through the bike, just as I get off the bike on the run? Or?
So I would probably, for yourself, with the distance you're doing, I'd probably suggest in the last half of the bike, going into maybe the last third or last quarter of the bike. You don't want it so close to the end of the bike that it's still sat there in your stomach, because that can cause stomach issues as you get onto the run. It's not digested, or it's just sat there kind of
just bouncing around.
Yeah, exactly. You can end up getting stitched and stuff. So that's probably the safest time to have it. If you wanted, you could have it during the run, just sometimes a little harder because you're bouncing and moving a lot more. So I suggest towards the end of the bike.
Okay, great.
And then the final thing we should discuss is transitions. Now, we haven't done anything transition related at the moment.
But I have filmed a lot of transition videos, and I think I'm pretty confident with the order.
Okay, yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, now that you've been doing more brick sessions, running off the bike, now it's probably a point that we start bringing that in. So in the next video, you're going to see Alex doing some transitions, and he's rather boldly now said that he's quite confident. He's watched enough videos, he's edited enough videos that he's going to nail it. So fingers crossed for you, mate. Well, thanks guys ever so much for tuning in once again. We are super excited for Alex, and I have full confidence you're going to nail it. So in 3 weeks' time, he is doing his first triathlon, sprint distance triathlon at Blenheim Triathlon. So stay tuned for that. If you're tuning in and wanting to follow along to this program, then you can find the link for that program in the description down below. Give this video a like, please do. Alex is doing a superb job, and also subscribe down below to follow the journey more.